Democrats. Today is Wednesday, September 21st, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Wednesday. So, I have to start out with the national news. The former guy has been charged with a $250 million lawsuit for misrepresenting property values and his net worth and all of that kind of good stuff. It's finally come down. $250 million lawsuit. They're going for him not being able to do business, to be the head of an agent organization, to be on a board, him and his kids, for the next 5 years. $250 million lawsuit for telling lies, for inflating his net worth, for getting people to loan him more money than what he was due. We'll see what happens, right? Because right now it's just charges. But it's a big sinking deal. It is a big deal, and one that we need to be paying attention to. And why do we need to be paying attention to? Because this case was brought in New York. We need to be paying attention to it because we live in Oklahoma. And in Oklahoma, a lot of our politicians align themselves with the former guy. I know all through June, I was sick of seeing other commercials that were all about him. I mean, thanks to somebody who was running for office who didn't make it out of the primary, but he was running for office, we have a stretch of road named after the former guy. They took the former guy very seriously in this state. And I'm concerned that now that he's being charged, are the diehards going to align themselves more closely with him because of a witch hunt? Are they finally going to see the light? Are they finally going to understand that you cannot just keep falsifying records, just keep being on the wrong side of the law and get away with it? He's gotten away with it for a very long time, but that's not the behavior that we need to be condoning. Condoning and following that kind of behavior does not help our state. And so, yes, I am making the link because so many of our politicians align with that guy. They align with that guy. And so I just need you to be real careful about who you vote for. Figure out who they align themselves with. If they align themselves with an alleged criminal, and I have to call him alleged because it hasn't been determined, but I think you know. But if they align themselves with an alleged criminal, is that who we want representing us? Now, I will say some of the folks who are currently in office, but also on the ballot, align themselves with. Some of them even created their origin story to sound just like 45's origin story. Be careful about who you vote for. So I want to talk about I have good news. Okay, it's mixed news. So Senator Langford has finally come back from the border, because I feel like he's just like made him a little encampment down at the southern border. And I mean the southern border as in Texas, because I'm just reminding you guys, because I don't know that he even represents Oklahoma because he's at the southern border so often. So he's finally pried himself away from the southern border. So that would be good news, because that would mean that he's focusing on Oklahoma. But he's attacking the NEA, National Education Association, which is the national for education. He's attacking them for forcing a woke ideology on students. Okay, so I know you're saying, what did she just say? Because it's made up crap. It's made up crap, but he realized that everybody's talking about education but him. And he's trying to figure out how he can work himself into the conversation about education, but he's decided to make it in the worst possible way, right? He is attacking them. And let me tell you what that means. Let's say that he's successful, which I don't see that happening, at least not on the first try. He's attacking the NEA. Let's say that he's successful. What that does is that interferes with federal dollars coming to Oklahoma. Right? I'm going to make some links for you that interferes with federal dollars coming to Oklahoma. And some of those federal dollars are for school lunches. And 50% of students in Oklahoma qualify for free or reduced lunches. There are some districts in our state that have an 85% qualification rate, which means 85% of these students need that free or reduced lunch. If we don't have that, what he's doing is he's taking food out of the mouths of babes, all in the name of a fake culture war. And I call it fake because only one side's fighting it. There's only one side who's making up all of this stuff. One side who pretends like teachers want to make little Caucasian kids feel bad about themselves. When most teachers are Caucasian, it doesn't even make sense, right? But they're feeding that narrative that teachers want Caucasian kids to feel bad about themselves, that teachers want all the kids to come out LGBT, that teachers want, I don't know what happened, that all of a sudden teachers turned into these evil creatures. I'm a proud product of public schools, right? Both in Oklahoma and California, public schools. None of my teachers talked to me about my sexuality. None of my teachers. Worried about, encouraged, shoved, forced me in either direction. None of my teachers talked to me about my sexuality. None of my teachers said, we're going to elevate you African-American student, so that we make white students feel bad. Or we're going to talk about this thing so that we make Black students feel bad, and we're just going to ignore Indigenous students. I'm not real sure what it is they think is happening. It wasn't happening way back when I was in school. It's not happening now. I don't know what's happened that they think that it's an issue. And yes, Regina, I do think that it's rich that the Baptist preacher is talking about this issue when he lets so many other issues that he's actually closer to go without comment. Southern Baptist Conference, he let that go without comment. So Langford is now talking about education. Don't be fooled. Don't think that he cares a hoot about education. He just wants to be in on the conversation. Ryan Walters, and I usually don't say his name, but I want to make sure that you guys understand who we're dealing with, has said in a meeting while being filmed, while knowing that he was being filmed, that if he gets elected, he is going to stop federal money from coming to Oklahoma schools. Why are we doing things that portend that we are not part of the United States? Why are we doing things that will hurt our kids? 95% of Oklahoma students attend public schools. If you stop federal dollars from coming to Oklahoma, you are affecting at least 95% of our students in a negative way. Why would he say that he's going to do that? Is it to scare everybody to try to figure out how they can get a voucher? Is that why he's doing it? Because he's not doing it to help Oklahoma students. But that's what he's saying. If he wins, he's going to stop federal dollars from coming to Oklahoma. And then we have the governor, who is, for when it comes to safety training for schools, the only thing that he's having them train on is active shooter drills. There are other ways that we need to protect our students, but if that's the only thing you're focusing on, it is as if he knows that making us a sanctuary state and making it everybody can have 90 million guns if they want to, making us that kind of state, it's as if he's admitting that he knows that our students are not safe in school. That's a bigger problem than we have time to talk about in the 15 minutes I allow myself every day. But I need you to know, we need to be talking about the fact that the things that they are talking about doesn't help students, doesn't protect students, and has nothing to do, is not grounded in reality. Those are the things that they're talking about with regards to education. And I've talked about this a whole bunch of times, but I'm not going to forget about it. Yeah, Stacy. Then there's the bathrooms. Walters is obsessed with where minors go to the bathroom. He just is. Here's what we know to be fact. We are over 1,000 teachers short. We are over 1,000 educators in schools. They're not talking about that. You know who is talking about that? Gina Nelson has made it her platform that she believes the number one issue facing schools in Oklahoma is teacher flight. And that will be the number one thing that she focuses on, because that's what you do. It's not the only thing that she's going to focus on, but it will be the number one, because we've got to have enough teachers to educate. And then Superintendent of Public Instruction, future Governor Joy Hoffmeister is talking about giving teachers a raise. Another thing that hopefully will reduce teacher flight. But they're addressing real issues that affect our schools right now and will continue to affect our schools until we equalize and normalize things. Meanwhile, the other side is talking culture wars. They're talking restricting and limiting and threatening students. We have 48 days until the election. Education is on the ballot. Education's on the ballot. Do not forget, do not think. Education, reproductive rights, they are on the ballot. And what our top 10 governors talking about aren't those things that help us. They're not. So I urge you to educate yourselves about the people who are on the ballot. You also kind of need to know a little bit about the people on the other side, so that when people say, well, I'm voting for the current guy, you need to let them know. The current guy isn't thinking about education except for how he could privatize it. The candidate that he supports isn't thinking about improving education. He's thinking about how he can scare parents. Oh, speaking of, I'm going to say this. He keeps talking about parent choice. He keeps talking about his platform is parent choice and parent involvement. No one is stopping parents from being involved. No one is stopping parent choice. If your kid comes home from school with a library book that doesn't fit along with your thinking, that you don't want in your household, that you don't want your kid being exposed to, as a parent, you have every right to say to your kid, nope, not that book. Turn that book in. Don't come home with that book. I just don't think that you have a right to tell other parents what books their kids can have. And that's what Ryan Walters and that whole gang of book banning folks want to do. That's not parental choice. That's authoritarianism, because parental choice is what happens when you're family. Authoritarianism is where I decide something and it's for everyone. That's what they're doing on that side. I don't know whatever happened to personal choice and personal responsibility. They say that that's what their party stands for, but they're doing just the opposite. And I need you to know that. I need you to be focusing on what makes the most sense for Oklahoma as a whole. What makes the most sense for Oklahoma as a whole? Legislators and leaders who are focused on Oklahoma as a whole, not just the elite. And I'll remind you that Joy Hoffmeister is trying to get teachers raises, that Gina Nelson understands that there's a teacher flight situation and she wants to reduce it. While the other guys are focusing on active shooters and banning books and stopping federal monies from coming to Oklahoma. We pay federal taxes. That money belongs in Oklahoma. That money belongs in Oklahoma. So what will happen is it'll just be redistributed to other states. We'll be sending money to other states that our students could use to learn. Don't be fooled by all the little pretty buzzwords that they have money to pay for polling to use. Don't be fooled. Follow it all the way through and see what it means. All right. Educate yourself, educate everybody around you, make a plan to vote, and help 10 other people to make a plan to vote. All righty. Thanks for joining me. And I'll be back here tomorrow with Charles DeCoon, who's running for state treasurer. He for sure is joining me tomorrow. He had a scheduling conflict last week, but he for sure is joining me tomorrow. Charles DeCoon running for state treasurer. It's your opportunity to hear from him live. All right. You guys have a great one.